This is the news in brief from the United Nations. Amid reported deadly missile attacks from Russia's military action in Ukraine, including the capital Kiev and other cities, terrified families have been forced to seek shelter underground, UN humanitarians have said. At least 100,000 people have also likely been displaced by the violence, and well over 100 civilians killed and injured by shelling and airstrikes, according to the UN Rights Office and the UN Refugee Agency. From the UN Children's Fund UNICEF, here's Afshan Khan with the latest in Kiev.
As we speak, there have been major attacks in Kiev that have created greater fear and panic among the population, with families really scared, moving alongside their children into subways and shelters. And this is clearly a terrifying moment for children across the country.
On Thursday, the UN Secretary-General allocated $20 million from the Central Emergency Response Fund to meet urgent needs to support operations along the contact line in the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk and in other areas. To Sri Lanka, where UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Michelle Bachelet has urged the authorities to address past grievances over violations and do more towards national reconciliation efforts. According to a new report from the Human Rights Office, security forces continue to harass civil society organisations, human rights defenders and journalists, particularly in the country's north and east. Moreover, other setbacks to accountability include the thousands of people disappeared in past decades throughout the country's long-running civil war that ended in 2009. Here's UN Rights Office spokesperson Ravina Shamdasani.
They are very serious issues. I mean, the militarization, the ethno-religious nationalism, the continued lack of accountability, and you couple that with a pattern of surveillance and harassment of those who try to speak out, civil society organizations, human rights defenders, journalists, and it's a recipe for further human rights violations.
The independent UN human rights expert for Sudan ended an official visit there with a call to release the protesters arrested after demonstrating against last October's military takeover. Adama Dieng welcomed the reported release of some 100 people from detention and called for the immediate release of all others. He repeated concerns about the excessive force and live ammunition used against protesters since the coup, in which at least 82 people were killed and over 2,000 injured, and those, mostly women, who've been subjected to sexual violence. Daniel Johnson, UN News.